AM1, welcome again to our math 10 class. But before we will discuss things, we'll have our devotionals. The title of our message is Decisions Determine Destiny. Our text is found in 1 Kings 18:21. And Elijah came unto all the people and said, How long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him, but if Baal, then follow him. And the people answered him not a word. Life is an endless succession of choices. Some choices are major, some are minor, but in a sense, no decision is unimportant. Each one helps shape our lives for better or for worse. When Elijah stood in Mount Carmel and demanded that the Israelites choose between the true God and Baal, much was involved. If the people chose Baal, they would be taking a long stride toward depravity. Their land would be polluted with idols. Their fields would continue to be wasted by drought. Their souls would be left destitute of the sweet influence of God's Spirit. If, on the other hand, they chose the true God, they would forsake their degrading practices. Their land would be refreshed by rain and evidences of God's favor would return. How important then to make the right choice. Centuries later, Pilate asked the professed people of God, Whom will ye that I release unto you, Barabbas or Jesus, which is called Christ? Back came the answer, Barabbas. What shall I do then with Jesus? Returned Pilate. Let him be crucified. Oh, fateful and terrible decision. How different would have been the history of the Jewish people if they had chosen Jesus instead of Barabbas. It is said that the king of the long ago, desiring to reward a favorite friend, said, Ask what thou wilt, and I will give it unto thee. The young friend pondered, If I ask to be made general, I shall readily obtain it. If for half the kingdom he will give it to me, I will ask for something to which all these shall be added. So he said to the king, Give me thy daughter to wife. By this wise choice he became heir to all the wealth and honors of the kingdom. Thus it is when we choose Christ. In him we gain everything. Have we made this great choice? Do all of our lesser decisions reveal total commitment to the Savior? Okay, this moment we'll be talking about polynomial equation. What is this polynomial equation? The equations formed with variables, exponents, and coefficients are called polynomial equations. It can have different exponents where the higher one is called the degree of the equation. We can solve polynomials by factoring them in terms of degree and variables present in the equation. A polynomial function is an expression which consists of a single independent variable where the variable can occur in the equation more than one time with different degree of the exponent. Example of the polynomial function, we have f of x equals 3x squared plus 5x plus 19. Take note, f of x is equal to y. F of x is just written in function notation. The meaning of that is the value of y. Usually, the polynomial equation is expressed in the form of a sub n times x to the power of n. Here, a is the coefficient, x is the variable, and n is the exponent. As we have already discussed in the introduction part, the value of exponent should always be a positive integer, so not negative. If we expand the polynomial equation, we get f of x is equal to a sub n x to the power of n plus a sub n minus 1 x to the power of n minus 1 and so on, where a sub 1 times the x plus a sub 0 is equal to 0. Example of a polynomial equation is 2x squared plus 3x plus 1 equals 0, where 2x squared plus 3x plus 1 is basically a polynomial expression which has been set equal to 0 to form a polynomial equation because of this equal sign. That is an equation. Okay, the first one, or the first kind of equation is, polynomial equation is monomial equation. An equation which has only one variable term is called a monomial equation. Mono means one. So this is also called a linear equation. It can be expressed in the algebraic form of ax plus b equals 0. For example, for x plus 1 equals 0, 5y equals 2, 8z minus 3 equals 2. So these are examples of monomial equation. The highest exponent of the variable is 1. The second is binomial equation. An equation which has only two variable terms and is followed by one variable term is called a binomial equation. Binomial means two. Bi, from the word bi, means two. This is also in the form of the quadratic equation. It can be expressed in the algebraic form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So this is the formula of quadratic equation. For example, 2x squared plus 5x plus 20 equals 0. 3x squared minus 4x plus 12 equals 0. So there are two terms which has a variable. The third is trinomial equations. An equation which has only three variable terms and is followed by two variable and one variable term is called a trinomial equation. Tri means three. This is also called a cubic equation. In other words, a polynomial equation which has a degree of 3 is called a cubic polynomial equation or trinomial polynomial equation, since the power of the variables the maximum up to 3. Therefore, we get three values for a variable, say x. It is expressed as a sub 0 x cubed plus a sub 1 x squared plus a sub 2x plus a sub 3 is equal to 0, where a is not equal to 0, or ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d equals 0. So this is the form of trinomial equations or cubic polynomial equation. For example, 3x cubed plus 12x squared minus 8x minus 10 equals 0. So there are three terms that has variable x. Or 9x cubed plus 5x squared minus 4x minus 2 equals 0. To get the value of x, we generally use trial and error method, in which we start putting the value of x randomly to get the given expression as 0. If for find the other two values of x. Okay, we have example here. Y cubed minus y squared plus y minus 1 equals 0 is a cubic polynomial equation because the highest exponent of the variable y is 3. Find the roots of it. Solution: y cubed minus y squared plus y minus 1 equals 0 is the given equation. With trial and error method, start putting the value of y. So if y equals negative 1, then negative 1 cubed minus negative 1 squared minus 1 minus 1 equals 0. So we left y as negative 1. So we substitute negative 1 to the places of y. And we have negative 1 cubed is negative 1. And negative times negative 1 squared is also negative 1 into negative 1. Negative 1 equals 0. Negative 1 minus 1 minus 1 minus 1 is negative 4 and is not equal to 0. So let's proceed to another value. If y equals 1, then we'll replace y with positive 1. 1 cubed minus 1 squared plus 1 minus 1 equals 0. 1 cubed is 1 minus 1 squared, that is also 1. So 1 minus 1 is 0, plus 1 is 1, minus 1 is 0. Therefore, one of the roots is 1. So by trial and error, we got one root, that is y equals 1. And then we will subtract 1 both sides to get a factor. So y minus 1 at the left side equals 1 minus 1, that is 0. So y minus 1 is one of the factors. Y equals 1 is the same with y minus 1. We got one factor. Now dividing the given equation with y minus 1, we get y minus 1 times y squared plus 1 equals 0. Because we have factored it. Therefore, the roots are y equals 1, which is a real number, and y squared plus 1 gives complex numbers or imaginary numbers, because we cannot get the root of that. Because if we will get the square to both sides, we can have y squared plus 1 equals 7. And y squared is equal to negative 1. If we will extract square root both sides, we cannot get a real number that is a square root of negative 1. Therefore, the square root of negative 1 is complex number or imaginary number. A polynomial equation which is a degree as 2 is called a quadratic equation. The expression for the quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a is not equal to 0. Here, a, b, and c are real numbers. The roots of quadratic equation will be two values for the variable x. This can be found by using the quadratic formula, our previous topic in module 1 to 3. So, the quadratic formula is x is equal to negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now we have the name of polynomial and their degree. If the degree is 0, then the name of the polynomial is constant. If the degree is 1, linear. The degree is 2, quadratic. If the degree is 3, cubic. If the degree is 4, quartic. And the degree is 5, that is quintic. So there are only 6 terms, up to 5 only, from 0 to 5 degree. But if that is 6 above, the name of that polynomial is polynomial of degree 6, polynomial of degree 7, and so on. Okay, we have here an example. We have a polynomial equation. We have x minus 2 and then x squared plus 5x plus 6. Next, we're going to get the factors of f of x. So the factors are x minus 2, and then we will also factor x squared plus 5x plus 6, which is the factors of x squared are x, and the factor of 6, 2, and 3. Because if we will add 2 and 3, the sum also is 5, which is the coefficient of the middle term. So we have the 3 factors here, x minus 2, x plus 2, and x plus 3. And the degree of the f of x is also 3, because if we are going to multiply these 3 factors, the product is x cubed plus 3x squared minus 4x minus 12. And the degree is 3 because the highest exponent of the variable x is the degree, and that's 3. And the zeros of f of x, or the r, are 2 from x minus 3 factor, which is equated to 0. And then negative 2 because x plus 2, if we will get the value of x, that's negative 2. And x plus 3 is also 3. And the leading coefficient is 1 because our term that has the highest degree, this is x cubed, that means 1x cubed. So the numerical coefficient of this leading term, because we had that x cubed has the highest exponent, so that is 1. And the factors of the leading coefficient are positive 1 and negative 1. And our constant term is negative 12. Constant means those terms without variables. Constant is the value of that number never change. So the value of negative 12 is always negative 12. So that is why negative 12 is called the constant. Next is the factors of the constant term, which is negative 12. So there are lots of factors here, positive and negative 1, positive and negative 2, positive and negative 3, positive and negative 4, positive and negative 6, and positive and negative 12. So these are the factors of negative 12. Okay, example number 2, we have x minus 10 equals 0. The name of this polynomial in the first example is cubic. And here is linear because the highest exponent of variable x is 1. And the factor is still x minus 10. The degree is 1 because the highest exponent of the variable is 1. And the factors, same, positive and negative 1. And the constant term is negative 10. And the possible factors in negative 10, we have positive and negative 1, positive and negative 2, positive and negative 5, and positive and negative. The last example, we have x plus 2 times x minus 5 equals 0. So same, the factors are x plus 2 and x minus 5, and the degree is 2, because if we are going to simplify this, we need to use Paul method. We will multiply the two binomials. So the product is x squared minus 3x minus 10. So the degree is 2 because that's the highest exponent. And the zeros, we have negative 2 and 5. So negative 2 is from x plus 2 factor. We just get the value of x, and that is negative 2. And x minus 5 factor, the value of x is positive 5. And the leading coefficient is 1 again, because the numerical coefficient of x squared, which is the leading term, because it has the highest degree, is 1. And the possible factors of 1, same, positive and negative 1. And we have our constant term, still negative 10. The possible factors of negative 10 are 1 and positive 1 and negative 1, positive 2 and negative 2, positive 5 and negative 5, and positive 10 and negative 10. So like polynomial equations, it has many roots or solutions. No matter how big the problem we're facing right now, God is the solution for it. You have nothing to worry because God is bigger than our problems. Remember, there is no problem too big that God cannot hold it. Just claim this promise that no matter what happens, He's always there for us. Thank you for listening. God bless us all. I hope you learned many things today.